Well, I've got a little bit of time here between helping my brother-in-law Rick move his equipment, working on this store, trying to get our farewell little piece of playground tied up before winter. Also need to get some wheels painted, so we're going to try to get that done today. And this is something that I've never showed anybody before. Well, these already have 1.5" flat top rubber set on these, so I need to mask them off so that I don't paint them, of course. And generally I'll start off with a 1/2" masking tape, and I just use a general masking tape because it's not going to sit on here long. But this needs to bend on its edge in order to go around the edge of this wheel. And then I'll fill it in with 3/4 or 1" masking tape. Well, as I'm going through the process of this painting, oftentimes I'll go from one wheel to the next, and then I'll go back to the last wheel that I just did, and I'll rotate that half a turn, kind of like so. The tendency of painting wheels when you have so many intersecting spots, tendency is runs to occur. So when I do this rotating half a turn, and by doing that has essentially just eliminated all types of runs. I very seldom do. So some of these hubs are old original hubs, and I didn't take out all the cracks in the wood. But if you look at just the gloss, the flow, I don't have hardly any orange peel, if any at all. Has a nice flow out rate, and I don't have any runs. The runs have a tendency to show up right here where you're intersecting so many times. So these wheels are 12 spoke in the front, 14 in the back, and you notice that I learned to count. So I try not to double spray any of these intersection spots. So on buggy spokes, I can usually paint these spokes in 4 stages. One here, and then one each on the back. On a wagon spoke, I'll paint more of the face, and you notice I come down at this angle and paint the front. So I do it actually in 8 strokes because of the bigger size of these spokes. But again, this section here where it comes out and meets the fellies, as well as where it meets the hubs, that's where you have a tendency to have so many coats intersecting that's where they have a tendency to run. And then when I'm painting the face of these fellies, I'm looking for gloss, looking at that reflection, and that's why I have lights at 4 corners of my room as well as 2 lights overhead, because I'm constantly looking at this reflection to see if I have my flow out rate correct. And I also keep a drop cord light here that I use when I'm painting as well, because sometimes when I'm painting, and especially on bodies, and I can't get down and get the reflection of the light, then I'll take this portable light and I use it for my reflection, and I can paint using this light, again looking for that point of gloss where it flows out, but keep it from the running point. So in the case of these wheels here, what I am painting is called One Shot. This is an older can. This was a chromatic and One Shot eventually blended together. But this is all of the maroon that I've painted on these wheels. And I do use a thinner that is a little hotter than just regular mineral spirits. This is a naphtha. The flash off point is faster, so it sets quicker. Years ago when I started in this painting business, I did spray a lot of automotive paints. I don't spray automotive anymore, and I haven't for probably 35 years. As I watched the long-term effect of that automotive paint that has hardeners in it, painting them on wood, invariably I have seen over the years where that paint has failed. So I paint strictly an alkyd enamel base paint. I don't use any hardeners. It doesn't make it quite as brittle and hard, has a tendency to flex a little more. This One Shot is made for exteriors, made for signs. It's a very durable, very heavily pigmented paint, and I like it the best of all the paints that I have sprayed. The drawback of these alkyd enamels is that it takes longer to set up. That's the advantage of a catalyzed automotive paint. It sets chemically, it sets very quickly, and you can go on to the next project. These, now I need to let them set and kind of cure out for a day to 2 days minimum before I handle them. I am going to go ahead now, when it has kind of tacked up, I can take this masking tape off of the wheels while it's still somewhat soft, if I'm careful, and don't let anything come over and touch the face of these fellies. And because this paint still has a fair bit of tack to it, I do have to be really careful that I don't allow it to come over and touch. So you can see the paint is wet enough on this masking tape that it's still leaving a residue on my fingers. Maybe I should have left my gloves on, huh? You know, painting is one of those things that does take some time to kind of get the feel for it. And it is a lot by feel, and I'm sure different people paint differently. I have had professional painters come in and paint for me, and I have watched them paint, and I do it completely different. And they have always struggled with these multiple overlap points on a wheel, especially fighting runs. And I have come for myself to a point to where I do things very systematically. I'm counting my 12, 14, 16 spokes, and I do things repeatedly the same, and I have found that that has been much more beneficial than this haphazard just going all over everywhere. The second coat is the most difficult. You spray your first coat as your tack coat, and you want to keep it from running, so it's a light coat, but you still want the gloss, the run out on it. The second coat takes a heavier coat because it's now got a soft surface to adhere to, and it has to flow into that, so it is a heavier coat. And that's when it generally ends up running on all these intersecting points. And it's a little more difficult to see. When you're painting against primer, the color to the primer is a stark difference, but when you're painting the second coat on top of the same color, the first coat, it becomes much more difficult. And that's where, for me, I have to be very systematic, count my spokes. So I'm constantly in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 14, 16. Where I know I have to stop. Because if I go to, on a 16-spoke wheel, or perhaps on these wheels here, a 12 or 14, if I go to 13 or 14 or 14 or 15, then I know I have spokes that I am double spraying, and that's where I have problems. So it's a real challenge to paint, but it is one of those things that I really enjoy, especially when you get that flow out and it turns out like a piece of glass. That's where I shoot for. I've had mentors in the past when I started that I just was astonished at the quality of their paint jobs. Ivan Burkholder was one, Abner Lapp was another. I think they're both gone now, but they have motivated me to get a paint job that is just top notch, and that's what I strive for. And a lot of that is in the priming and the sanding and the prep work, as well as the finish coat. I don't like orange peel. I like that flow out, smooth, glossy finish. And you can get the same thing when you do it with a brush as well, if you do it right. Anyway, that's my approach on painting wheels. The undercarriage is very similar. Like I say, it's upside down, inside out, and so many points of intersecting that it's a real challenge to paint. I have never taken my camera into the paint room before to show anybody, and actually I never allow anybody in there to see how I do something. So this video is actually the first time that I've shown anybody how I paint. One, it's somebody else in there stirring up dust that I don't want, and it's hard on camera. But I have a high airflow through that paint room, and I have filters on both ends, and I thought, the spray isn't bad. I cut my volume back, so we snuck her by. So anyway, that's how I paint my wheels, and I hope it's beneficial maybe to somebody. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.